Hi, Roxanne.
Okay, so it is 5 p.m. This is Councilor Bill Solms. I'm calling the Town Council Finance Committee meeting to order. Present are Councilor Solms, Councilor Ingalls, Councilor Malone. Those are the three Finance Committee members. Also present are Mayor Allen, Finance Director Hancock, Councilor McGrattan, and Paul Margo with Planning and Zoning still, Paul?
No, inland wetlands,
No,
but I'm
okay.
I'm a public
Inland wetlands.
contestant today.
Here is the resident. Thank you. Okay. So with that, I have no informational items, and I would accept the motion to review the meeting minutes from 2 weeks ago.
Sure. Bill, are you going to, I'm sorry, did you ask about citizen comments?
I kind of forgot about them. Thank you. Are there any citizen comments?
Only one, I guess. I'm it.
Yeah, sorry, Paul.
Thank you, Aunt Laura.
The floor is yours.
Okay. Hello?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Hello. Earlier on today, I sent an email out to multiple people on the committee here. I may have missed a couple. I don't have everyone's email, but I can read it to you if you'd like. And again,
Please do.
at the recent town council meeting, I requested the town council consider extending an additional $100,000 exemption for or abatement for equipment used in farming. I guess I'm concerned as why the focus of the September 2nd agenda, Finance Committee agenda, is on farm buildings. The reason I'm focusing on this is because, according to the Connecticut DEP, there are present approximately 24,000 acres of farms and of 24,000 acres or 40 square miles.
Paul, excuse me for one moment. I'm going to.
I can't hear you.
Typing.
Go ahead. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
I'm listening.
I just said somebody's typing on their computer and the microphone is picking it up and I can hear that over Paul. That's it. I'm turning my mic off.
Yeah, thank you, Andres. Everybody, please mute, and Paul, please go ahead.
You okay then? According to the Connecticut DEP, there are at present 24,000 acres or 40 square miles within the boundary of Ledyard. And there are about 1,200 acres of water. Now, why I'm saying this is that because one of our town officials has to submit a document each year to the DEP concerning Public Act 490. Public Act 490 are for parcels of land of 25 acres or more that qualify for farming or silvestry. With this, they get a tax exemption for their land, but you have to actively farm those 25 acres or have it in forestry or actually harvest some forest trees off that land. In other words, these areas are registered by the state of Connecticut within the PA 490. There are 93 parcels in Ledyard composing 22,000 acres, no, 2,289 acres of farms, and an additional 103 parcels of land or 4,200 acres of forest or silvestry in Ledyard. That's nearly 200 parcels or owners with 25 acres of land for farming or silvestry in Ledyard. There are many more times this number of active farmers with smaller parcels in Ledyard. Ledyard only has, 15,000 people. Interestingly enough, expanding the equipment exemption by an additional 100,000 would positively demonstrate Ledger's support of farming for those in town who actively farm. To exempt only farm buildings, which is what is in the agenda today, would clearly diminish that impact and that support for farming. Is that the goal? I hope not. If the goal is to truly support farming in Ledyard, I suggest once again that an additional exemption or abatement of $100,000 for equipment be strongly considered. Exempting both equipment, let's say tractors, mowers, whatever it is you have, sprayers for your vineyard, and as well as buildings such as greenhouses or sheds or whatever it may be, such as Stonington has done recently, would be a tremendous support for Ledyard farming. Stonington, I put a link in there at the end of my note that Westerly Sun has put out. Stonington has basically done both of these, farming equipment and building exemptions, an additional $100,000 apiece. I would like to see if Ledyard could do the same. I'd be greatly appreciated. And I thank you all for listening and to my point of view. Thank you. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Paul. We will take that into consideration. I don't know that we intentionally said just buildings. I know that's what it says, but I don't know if that was intentional. But we will at least discuss and consider both. We have a listing of property, meaning real estate, from the mayor, from the tax assessor, and we could probably do the same for it. It might be a little more difficult, but maybe we can do that. So thank you.
I have a listing like that from 2019 when I wrote the PCOD for agriculture as a member of the planning and zoning. That is available in the town hall. It was at that time.
Yep, great, thank you. Okay, are there any other property owners wishing to, or residents wishing to comment? Hearing none, let's move to a motion to approve the minutes from last week.
I move that we approve the regular meeting minutes of the Finance Committee August 19th, 2020 meeting.
Is there a second? Tom, you with us?
Yeah.
Is there a second for the minutes?
Councilman Malone, second.
Thank you. Any comments, corrections, questions? Hearing none, I read them. They look good. Thanks, Roxanne, and I will call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Councilor Ingalls votes aye.
Councilman Malone votes aye.
And Councilor Song votes aye. Thank you both very much. And with that, let's turn to Finance Director Marcia Hancock for your report.
I have very little to report tonight. We have had the townwide inventory done last week, and I'm waiting for the report and information that will come out of that. The audit is starting in a couple of weeks, or the auditors will be here to start that phase of the audit, and all is going well.
Great, thank you. The townwide inventory is a huge step forward. I think it's a really good project, and glad to hear it's done. That's awesome. Thank you. We have no old business. Would anyone like to amend the agenda for new business? And hearing none, the first item is to discuss and consider the tax exemption for buildings used for farming. We were provided with a number of other towns, Montville, Cromwell, Bolton, I'm probably forgetting a couple, and then we had the letter from Mr. Morgan with the article about Stonington. So if you've all had a chance to take a look at them, do we have any comments, either Councilor Malone or Councilor Ingalls?
I did have a chance to look at it.
Anytime,
Oh, go ahead, Tom.
anytime, yeah, so anytime we can give we don't have any industrial farmers, so, but the small farmers and small businessmen, I think that is a benefit to the community as a whole, and I'm definitely in support of that.
Okay, thank you. Andra?
Yeah, same. I was going to say it's pro-farm, it's pro-business, it's pro-Ledyard. It's very much in keeping with Ledyard's history and feel. So I would like to find the right way to make this work. I don't know what the details of that exactly would be, but I would like to find a way forward on this. I think it's a win-win.
Thank you. I think some thoughts similar. I wanted to mention that the $100,000 exemption, either on buildings or land, the taxes are reduced from the town. They are not reimbursed by the state, as I read the statute. So I just want to make clear that this is entirely on Ledyard. There's no benefit from the state. As I mentioned, the mayor has put together a list of land tax liability, and I'll let him comment on that. I also wanted to note I think we need to move very quickly on this because farmers must apply by November 1st in order to qualify. And that means the ordinance, we have to have the ordinance in place in less than 60 days or 4 town council meetings if we started tonight. Another question I had, and I haven't fully researched this, but we always have to be careful that when we write an ordinance, and especially one about the tax code, that we don't create loopholes that a whole bunch of people then walk through. So I'll give you an example, and I don't think it's a real one, but it's a little fantastic. But let's say a person has 3 acres of land. They have a house and a garage. The house is a residence. It does not qualify. But if they put a tractor in the garage and say that's now a barn, we have to make sure that they don't get to qualify their barn. The way the statute is written, I think we're good because you have to have either $15,000 of agricultural expenses or $15,000 of agricultural receipts, and that's part of the state statute. So I think we're good. I just want to point out that we have to be careful of loopholes. Another thing that may already be addressed, and I want to read the state statute a little more. I want to make sure that solar farming is excluded because solar is by some claimed as an agricultural use. I think it's pretty much been debunked, but we need to make sure that we don't have a solar farm show up looking for a tax credit on equipment or land. Also, consistent with what Tom and Andra said, hobby farming and commercial farming is part of Ledyard's heritage. Agricultural preserved land is open space. Open space demands less in government services, and it also supports the environment. Most of the time is a beneficial use of land. The only downsides are pesticides and animal waste. As I see it, the first step is to understand the total estimated tax liability. So we'll hear more from Fred about that, and we should also, as we just requested for equipment. And then the next step, I think, would be to request a session for Roxanne to draft an ordinance based on existing ordinances, which we've seen from the other towns. I think we should pick the best one and work from that because they're all fairly similar, some more detailed than others. Then I think we forward the ordinance draft to land use and admin for their changes. Then we need to have a public hearing on the ordinance, and then we have a town council meeting. So I think we need to move quickly if we're going to make this happen. And those are my comments. Mayor, do you want to mention what you've learned about land use
Sure.
tax assessment?
Sure, I'll jump in. So I did have Adriana assemble a list of what we know to be existing farms in the town of Ledyard right now. That number is 30 properties. In terms of qualifying or may qualify, the list varies a little bit, and that was included in your agenda packet tonight. Thank you, Roxanne, for adding that late. So the way that list currently shapes up, the estimated tax loss based on this and excluding farm machineries, that's a separate run she'll have to make from the assessor's roll for equipment. But the number right now is $11,615 of tax loss. So it's really negligible. It varies. I'll give you some examples. Full Heart Farm would receive a $105 reduction in their taxes. Leaning Birch, $1,750. Gear Hill Farm, $2,975. Holmberg's, $3,430. And let's see, another one down here, Pride's Corner, $1,000. So, you know, the numbers are not huge, but at the same time, you know, I'm sure that $3,000 to $4,000 more back into a farmer's pocket is a good thing. I did look at a bunch of different towns based on the state statutes, the 12-91C, which they all reference. And it varies between farm buildings and machinery, and some will say just buildings, and some say farm buildings and seasonal farm employee housing. I don't think we have the seasonal farm employee housing item to address as much as buildings and machinery. North Stonington, a more recent one, they did include buildings and machinery in their exemption. Preston's is a little more lean. I think, let me see if I can put my hands on Preston really quick, but Preston just included up to $21,000 of assessed value per eligible building. And that theirs is actually, Preston's is actually for farm buildings and seasonal employee housing. They all go on to state that the farmer's personal residence is not part of this, so there is no exemption for their own residence. And they all reference the 15,000 of gross sales from farming, or at least $15,000 in expenses directly related to farming. So I too support it. I think it's a good thing for the town. New Towns specifically refers to in their write-up from their town council that they found that it was important to the preservation of farming and farmland, which is vital to the importance of retaining, in their case, Newtown's rural character and quality of life. I would maintain that we could say the exact same thing for the town of Ledyard, that it's important for the town of Ledyard. You know, a lot of people see farmland as open space. It is not open space. It is farmland, and if the farmer, which they are often land rich and cash poor, if they are up against the wall, what they view as open space could very quickly turn into a subdivision. And I think we could do our best efforts to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I am very much in support of these programs. And like I said, I will ask tomorrow from Adriana to develop a list of known machinery to add to that list, so that we can fully understand what it is. But it's if the real estate side of it right now, based on current assessments of farm buildings, is accurate, then under $12,000 is not the end of the world.
Agreed. Thank you, Mayor.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll look for that, and let's, Roxanne, I'll ask you and Adriana if you can start putting an ordinance together, and I'll work with you on the side to see if we can pick one of these existing ordinances and start with that as a draft. Sound good? Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let's move on. Is there anything else on this before we move on? Mary, you have a comment? You're muted. Mary, you're mute.
You hear me?
Yep, you can now.
Okay. Is the 11,000 what we would incur in the future if we put this in place? Or is that what we're losing now?
That would be what we would, the 11,615 is what we would lose immediately based on the existing assessed values of existing farm buildings.
Okay.
If some of these others come online, that number, the 11,615, is estimated to grow to $28,000.
Okay. Also, would
still a
somebody
manageable
who,
number. But
if somebody now is enjoying the 490, you know, with 25 plus more acres, and they're being compensated by the state to leave their land as open, would they be eligible for this if they were doing farming?
yeah, so that's a good question. Under the PA 490, I think
That's
it's an 80% reduction in the assessed value. But what I don't know is it an 80% reduction in the land assessed value, or is it the overall farm and buildings? Paul,
Okay.
Paul may know
Go ahead.
this.
Yeah.
It's only the land, Fred,
Okay, only the land.
not the
Okay.
building. I wish it were, but it's not. Anyway.
Right,
Okay.
okay. So the PA 490 reduces it by 80% on land only.
Okay. So they would then, would this farm owner, be eligible for our program if they're already enjoying PA 490? That's my question.
Yeah, I would think so, because a lot of these towns that pass their exemptions also follow Connecticut general statutes as it pertains to tax reduction for farming. So they're already enjoying one benefit and now another. So yeah, I don't see why they would be excluded.
Okay, just asking. Thank you.
But they would also have to have buildings to get the reduction in taxes on, and they would have to have equipment if they wanted to get reduction in equipment assessment, and they would have to have $15,000 in sales or expenses.
Yes, okay.
Which, if all you have is 100 acres of forest, this program won't help you, and the town won't be liable.
Okay, I guess I'm familiar with, it's Harry Morgan, or was Henry Morgan's property on Shoeville and Whitford. They are enjoying the PA 490, but they are just, their property was allowed to do that. So that means they can never use that property for anything but farming or open space.
That's not the PA 490. That's they've sold the development rights to
Right.
that land with a different program.
Okay, sorry. All right.
Yeah, that's Department of Agriculture, where they sold the development rights for the property.
Okay.
They have the right to continue farming operations there, but there is a deed restriction on their property.
All right, and that's not the 490?
No.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Paul,
Wrong
go ahead.
number.
Well, it's just saying that we buy grapes from Rick Morgan and have for a long time now. He grows grapes for us as well as other folks. So
Okay.
they are actively farming on that site.
Sure.
Yep. Okay, other comments, discussion? Thank you very much. Let's move on to item 2, and I will entertain a motion.
I make a
Councilor
motion
Engel-
to recommend the town council approve one tax refund in the amount of $5,813 that exceeds the $2,400 in accordance with tax collector departmental procedures.
Counselor Ingalls seconds.
Thank you. So this is one of those where it looks like the mortgage company paid, the landowner paid. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor. The property owner is American Styrenics, and this has been signed off on by the tax collector, but because it's over $2,400, we need to approve it.
Yeah, this one was actually an adjustment to their assessment based on
That's right.
changes of property.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you for that correction.
Mhm.
Other comments? Guys ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor, please say aye.
Counselor Ingalls votes aye.
Councilor Malone votes aye.
And Councilor Solomon votes aye. Motion carries. Next item, please.
I make a motion to recommend the town council approve one tax refund in the amount of $7,888.54 that exceeds $2,400 in accordance with tax collector departmental procedures.
Councilor Malone seconds.
Thank you both. And this one, get back to my agenda. So this is the Atkinson property. And now was that a double payment, Fred?
This one was the sale for the open space, the Atkinson open space. So this was adjustment for the
right.
end of the year. So
Got
what they paid in versus the time of the year that they sold, and then since it sold to a non-taxable entity, they're getting refunded the balance of the year.
Yep, got it. Thank you. So a couple of comments on both forms. I don't know if this is a state form or a town form, but I would love it if we could see a better explanation, because I did read these and I assumed, I remember this one was an adjustment, but I assumed they were both overpayments. So one comment is if we could have an explanation of the reason for refund. All it says is I'm entitled, I've made the payments from my fund, yada, yada, but it doesn't really give the reason. The second one is the applicant signed but doesn't print the name, and you can't read the tax collector's signature, you can't read the applicant's signature. So looking at the document years later, you can't tell who signed these documents. So if we have an opportunity to change the form, I would love to see print your name, both tax collector and the signature of the applicant, and give a better reason than we show.
Yeah, we can probably add our individual printed names under our signature lines, because Kathy's signature is a little more cryptic than mine even. And then on the bottom right corner of that form, typically you will see something that will say in the probably the second or third line down on the right side of the page, it might say CC overpayment or paid twice. So if it's on there,
Okay.
that's where it typically appears.
Okay. So here it says clerical error cell tower.
Okay, so yes, they have, so as you know, the Atkinson property, when they sold that, they retained the ownership of the cell tower on there. I don't know exactly what the rest of that means, but yeah, we can brush that form up. That's just an internal form, and that's the same form that Joan was using, that Kathy is now using, but I can certainly ask Kathy to maybe make an improvement on this form.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yep, sure.
Okay, ready? Did we vote on? I don't think we did. Let me get back to where I was.
I don't think we did.
Nope.
Yeah, no, we didn't. All in favor, please say aye.
Counselor Ingalls votes aye.
Councilor Malone votes aye.
And so does Councilor Songs. Thank you very much. The motion passes. And think that's it.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Tom. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye, and we are adjourned at 5:30 p.m. Thanks
Right.
very much.
Good night. I'll see
Thank you.
see a couple of you in an hour.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Good night.